Hello!
Hi, welcome to the second episode of At Nerdvana Live. At Nerdvana Live is a weekly video call-in show streamed via YouTube and Twitch and is available later as an audio podcast. I'm Randy Pitchford. I am your host today. Your co-host is Elisa Melendez. She's the new media manager for Gearbox Software, and we currently broadcast live from At Nerdvana in Frisco, Texas. Nerdvana is a coffee shop. It's got incredible coffee. It's also board game themed, so you can come and borrow a board game or bring your own and play some cool board games. And they use locally roasted single source coffee and have tea and Texas toast with all kinds of crazy things on top of it, or just plain if that's your deal. You can get paninis and other things. It's really awesome. We're also technically on top of Nerdvana Food Plus Spirits, which is right next door, and it's a video game themed bar and restaurant. It's got a scratch kitchen, craft beers, custom cocktails. There's tons of booths equipped with all kinds of video games, from retro classics to the latest, greatest systems and games. And we're in a podcast booth that's kind of above and spans both places. So if you're either in the At Nerdvana Coffee Plus Shop or the At Nerdvana Food Plus Spirits, you can look up and kind of perv on us while we're doing this thing. By the way, after the show, in about 90 minutes, we're going to have dinner down at the restaurant. So if anybody lives anywhere in the Dallas area and you want to come on down and say hi, or if you're listening to the podcast and you're local, we're happy to chat with you. And if you want, you can even join us. And last time we decided there's so many cool things on the menu. Like in the last show, I talked about the Hadouken beef, which is awesome. But we tried something we hadn't tried before.
Yes.
And we thought, as we were trying to make an impossible decision, what we should do is each time we'll try something different, and then we can talk about that in next week's show.
Yes.
So what did we try last time?
So it is the Triforce cheesecake.
Triforce cheesecake. Let that sink in.
Triforce cheesecake.
And the deal is, it's kind of a gimmick because you get to make a choice, right? There's actually 3 different cheesecakes.
Yes.
Do you remember what they are?
I believe it is courage, wisdom, and power.
That's correct. That's correct. And courage is basically caramel infused, and there's like little caramel balls on the top. They're like just chewy little nuggets of
that one's my favorite.
Happiness. And then wisdom was berries.
Yes. And
power was chocolate.
Yes.
And we ordered all 3.
All 3 of them.
And we shared them. And they were amazing. I was really astonished at how good this cheesecake was.
I was eating them and then just a da, 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 just the music was playing in my head.
I felt all 3 of courage, wisdom, and power consuming this content. And let me tell you that we agreed that we would kind of quietly and internally taste all of them and decide which one we thought each of us believed was our favorite. And it turned out that we were all unanimous that the caramel cheesecake was the best.
It was really good.
It was amazing. And here's the thing. If you asked me before I tasted it, I would have said I would probably like the chocolate as my favorite, berry as number 2, and caramel would have been my last choice prediction for what the favorite would be. That said, it was a close call for me. It was a close race. It was a very challenging choice. It
was all good.
Man, it was so good. So that was awesome. We can talk about the cheesecake all day, but we should probably get to the show. This is a live call-in show.
Yes, there's a number.
There should be a number on the screen.
Right there.
You should call. You can talk to me. You can talk to Elisa, and you can call us and talk about anything.
Seriously.
We hope you want to talk about cool nerd stuff like video games or
movies,
things going on in nerd pop culture or anything tech. But if you want to call because you need, marital advice or relationship advice.
I mean, we could. I don't know.
I'm not a licensed medical practitioner, but I'll give you medical advice if you desire. I can tell you how you can deal with that thing that's been growing on your left pinky toe. I might not give good advice, but I'm happy to offer some. But no, please call in. We want to hear from you, and call in now. We've got Joe screening, and he'll talk to you. Yep. And even if you have something nice to say, great. If you think you have a beef, Try me. Hit me with the beef. Let's talk about it. Do you know what beef is?
Hadouken beef?
Yeah. No, but and Joe's not going to screen you out just because you might want to. In fact, I explicitly threw down a challenge. Some guy called me out on something that was, it's a lie, and I said, dude, if you got the courage, just call me and we'll talk about it, and we'll see. I have a feeling the guy's not going to call, but. We'll take any kind of caller, and the goal is to have fun and have an interesting show for our viewers and our listeners, and also revel in the range of opinions we could possibly have about video games and cool nerd stuff that we all love, but sometimes also all hate, and we can find out why we can do both at the same time if we talk about it. So it is a live call-in show. Call right now. What's the number, Elisa? Do you know it?
It is 830-549-NERD. That is 830-549-6373.
So what we do typically is we'll chat for a few minutes about a couple of topics, and then we'll start taking calls. Maybe the topics we talk about will inspire someone to try to hit us up on an issue. Maybe not. Yeah. Anything could happen. It is a live show. So hopefully some stuff goes down, and we'll see.
At the very least, we'll have fun.
But yeah, get on the phone and call us up, and let's chat about things. So, Elisa, what's happened in the last week that's been interesting in Nerd World that we should talk about?
So I heard that there was a lovely new little console that dropped called the Xbox One X.
I heard about this too. In fact, I had to. I'm pathetic, but I had to have one. I had to have one immediately. The Xbox One X is. It's an Xbox One. It's the same operating system. It plays the same video games, but it is extremely powerful. It is the most powerful video game console in the world that's ever been created.
Wow.
And I like, I've been playing PC games a lot lately because, I like high performance. I like a lot of fidelity on the screen. I want to fill up as many of those pixels as I can. If you got a 4K monitor, why not use it? So I was really happy to get an Xbox One X ASAP, and they're not cheap. But I will compromise other things in order to have the opportunity to get a few more frames in my gaming experience. But it's pretty rad.
Yeah,
it's really rad. I felt really good hooking it up. I felt really good firing it up. And here's the thing, I have to confess, in the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era, most cross-platform, multi-platform games I would play on 360. And of course, I'm going to have all the systems because it's kind of both my job and my life.
Yeah.
But I tended to be an Xbox 360 gamer. But in this era, I've tended to shift, and I'm more of a PlayStation gamer or PC gamer. And I think Xbox One X is pulling me back. I checked it out, fired up a couple things, and then I just immediately okay, let's just get this all downloading. So I bought the new Call of Duty game, I bought the Assassin's Creed game, and I bought it all digital, and I just started downloading all this stuff. I got a few other things, and it's gonna take me through Thanksgiving to catch up on all of it.
Yeah. But, what have you been able to sort of tuck into so far?
I haven't tucked into anything, but I've sampled some stuff because I don't know if you know this, but I have a job.
Oh.
And I worked pretty hard at it. And this week in particular was a pretty awesome week. I was averaging, I think most days a little more than, I was between 10 and 11 hours a day. And there were a couple days where I did 13-hour days. So it was a pretty big week for me for working at the studio. But I got a lot done.
Well, that's good.
And we're working on some pretty awesome stuff that's super exciting, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But there's some things quality comes through iteration, so you make your plan, and as you're in it, you're seeing what things are working and what things aren't working, and you tend to double down on the things that are working. And if you're smart, you're okay letting go of the things that aren't, even if you were in love with the idea at the beginning. And this is really hard, and a lot of creators have a hard time with this. I'm ruthless at it, and so I think that you can see it in the games that I've been more a part of. The last game I directed was Brothers in Arms Road to Hill 30. Everything after that I've been sort of an executive producer on. But obviously, when we created Borderlands, I was neck deep in that one as well. And I'm neck deep in this thing that we're doing right now. And there's some things that were a good idea that weren't. It was kind of hard to fit them together. And you just kill the things that don't work and find new things, and the new things are every time so much better, and that's why quality comes through iteration. So it's been a pretty freaking awesome week for me. Every creative person has their ebbs and flows, but this week I've been pretty stoked on the stuff that's come out of it. But I did play with the Xbox One X, and I kind of sampled a couple things. And it's just a beast, man. It's like a sick machine that's super powerful, super fast, and it looks beautiful. And I'm like 4K gaming is now. It's happening.
So here's my question.
Yeah.
For those of us that have not been blessed with all 4Ks, or perhaps only have a couple, do you think that we might see a market improvement? Or do you think you only have to?
So here's the thing: like these guys, Microsoft knew, and the Xbox team knew that at the timing they were launching this amount of power in a console, that most of their customers, or most of the possible customers, the target base, are probably still on HD and haven't gotten a 4K television yet, and so. Basically, there's sort of a trade-off. I mean, at the end of the day, it's just computational power. And so is the computational power more going to be used to generate more pixels, or is the computational power going to be used to draw the pixels more quickly, right? It can. Let's imagine that this is super simplified. Like people that actually know what's going on are going to be embarrassed, but this will be helpful for lay people, right? So 4K is it's basically 4 HD screens. So the throughput, the computing power necessary to draw that screen, if it only had to draw a quarter of that screen, it could draw that screen 4 times in the same amount of time and in the same amount of computing power. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Kinda.
Yeah.
So you can draw one screen once
notes.
that's 4 times as big, or you can draw this size screen 4 times. So it's like getting 4 frames for every 1 frame. It doesn't exactly work out like that, so that's a simplified way to doing it. But if you want to draw an HD screen and fill the pixels in for an HD screen, you can do more frames per second.
Right.
Whereas if you want to put more pixels on the screen, then you do fewer frames per second, but you have more pixels to look at. So you're trading fidelity for performance, basically the fidelity of the image for the performance of how fast you can render it. And so people that have HD and an Xbox One X and are going to play their games in HD will have blazing fast performance.
Cool.
People that play in 4K, the performance is still great, but you're going to have incredible unparalleled fidelity. And it's and I know I might be sounding like a Microsoft shill. I just love when stuff works, and I love when we move forward. The thing I'm most excited, and I sent Phil a nice note at Xbox, absolutely sincere, on launch day, just thanking him for his role and thanking the team at the Xbox team at Microsoft for doing this. But to me, what it signifies. And we've seen this kind of coming, but this is a new step in this trend where both major console manufacturers are x86 now, and we're keeping stable operating systems while we are incrementally improving the hardware platform. Right? This is what we're experiencing. So the easiest way to think about this is like these guys. Right. So we've already been in this world with these guys where every year these dudes are going to try to sell us a new phone. Well, not all of us buy one every year.
They got me.
But every year they get a little better and a little more powerful. And this is still my iPhone 7 Plus, so I haven't upgraded to the new model yet. Is that an 8?
It's a 10.
Oh, you got a 10X?
Yeah.
Bastard. Is it rad?
Yeah.
And it sees your
really
face?
like it.
Okay, we're going to talk about that in a minute. But these guys are getting better and faster, and you know, the choice is in the customer's hands about how frequently they want to upgrade. There are some of us like you who will upgrade with the latest greatest as soon as you can and take the cost to do it. Most people upgrade every 2 or 3 years is when they get a new phone. I think the most common is every 3 years.
Yeah.
Next is 2 years. Next is each year, and then last is like 4 years or something like that. And I think it generally holds up. Last time I looked at the data between Android and iPhone about the same way. So don't, like, if you have an Xbox One, you will play all the games, and that's good. You don't necessarily need to run out and get an Xbox One X, but if you can afford it and you want to get the blazing fast performance and the extra horsepower, it's friggin' awesome. And if you can't afford it, it does what it works as advertised. It was worth it for me by a long shot. I probably would have paid a couple $100 more for that hardware if I had to. I'm glad that they came at the price they did, but it's just amazing stuff. And I like this trend. I like that as a developer, I can trust that the platform will be stable, right? Like what they usually do, what the history of consoles has been, is every time there's a new console platform, people like us have to start over from scratch.
Right.
It's entirely new architecture. We have to start, all our software is garbage, and we have to start over again. Now we can keep building on our software, iterating on our software, and it's freaking rad. I'm pretty excited about that, and that's going to be great for gamers.
Cool.
So, did I just nerd out too much?
No.
Okay.
I was under the impression that the show is called Nerdvana.
Yes.
So, I think we're good.
But it's super rad, and I hope that I hope both PlayStation and Microsoft get into an annual cadence. I actually do. I hope they get into an annual cadence where there's new hardware every year.
Wow.
And right now the first parties are making sure that all developers make sure that every game that they release has to be perfectly compatible for all hardware in the generation. So when we release a new video game, it has to work on Xbox One X stock. Xbox One stock, Xbox One S, and Xbox One X. And the same is true for the Sony deal, where you got the PlayStation 4, the PlayStation 4 Pro.
Yes.
No, they did another one in between. What was it?
I think so. Maybe. One of those.
But
that's a lot. That's a lot of.
And it's interesting that they're
platforms
because these guys came from this generational thing. They're keeping the same, like Xbox One or PlayStation 4.
Yeah.
But these guys just increment the number. iPhone 2, 3, 4, 5. They played with a little bit at first. The iPhone 3G.
Right.
They're
Get
playing
it.
with a little
Get
bit.
it.
But
they just skipped 9
yeah.
and just went straight to 10.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's the iPhone X.
This is iPhone 10.
Isn't it an X?
It is an X.
It's not a 10.
But it stands for 10.
You could interpret it that way.
It's a Roman numeral vibe.
You could interpret it that way. Do you think the next one will be XI or 11?
Probably 11, or they might just say 9.
Here's what I think what's going to happen. Yeah, we'll get an iPhone 9 and we'll get an iPhone X2.
X-2.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and then at some point they're gonna be like, "This is such a huge iteration that it's a completely new phone," and then we're just gonna start over and just call it, "This is the new iPhone." And then just start the numbers again. Then we're good. Yeah.
So so that's cool. So what do you think of that thing?
I'm actually a pretty big fan.
I want one.
The Face ID works pretty well. Have to get used to a couple of things because especially as it has to recognize my face, and so I'm used to picking up my phone in bed with my face half smushed. And then the phone doesn't unlock, and I have to lift my head so that it sees me.
You've morphed your face. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, and then and the Animoji stuff is cool, where you could talk as different emojis. That's super nice. But I think in terms of it's really kind of quick and responsive. And paying with Face ID is super fast. And
did you spring for the high memory one?
No,
because I think those are really. I don't know if they exist or they're hard to get right now or something.
I'm not sure, but I was able to get. I just shoot for the 64 because I haven't necessarily run out of space on it yet.
Yeah. And there's iCloud, so
yeah, that's also a thing. Yeah. So and you have to get used to some new gestures with it, but. Then it just kind of becomes kind of an intuitive thing, and it's really zippy.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm gonna get one. I'm interested. It's such a paradigm shift going to the face thing. So I'll tell you something. Back back in the day, I was a BlackBerry guy. And because I could thumb type really fast.
Oh, yeah.
And I emailed a lot. Like I could thumb type 20 words a minute. It was sick. and people that work with me know, like I write a lot. Like I write thousands and thousands, like probably 10 or 15,000 words a day, easy, probably more. My emails can sometimes get epic, like dissertations.
I know.
And I do it with, I'm getting better at it. The Twitter and texting era has helped me learn how to be a little more concise in my communication, but I used to be exceptionally verbose, and I still am. But so I was a BlackBerry guy. But then when the phone explosions happened, I got an iPhone, and I think it was the 3G is the first one I had, and I got a Windows phone, and I got a Samsung Android phone, and I had my BlackBerry. So I had 4 phones.
Oh my gosh!
And I was using them all because I didn't want to do the fanboy thing, and I wanted which one is right for me.
Okay.
And I had a preconceived bias. I believed, fuck all these other phones. I need a physical keyboard because that's how I roll, right?
That was me too. I ended up with one of those like a Sidekick. Because I just needed to type.
Yeah,
I needed to type. Yeah.
So I did the 4 phone thing for a while, and in the end, because it's really inconvenient and sucks to carry around 4 phones.
Yeah.
So in the end, it was around the Google Glass phase when I stopped using Google Glass that I left my I just stopped carrying my Samsung around. And then my Windows phone, I really loved it. It was amazing, but it just kind of got obsolete. And the things that were replacing it didn't, like the thing that sold me on the Windows phone was this crazy camera. It was like 22 megapixel or some ridiculous business. And it had some pretty cool features with it. But I ended up just leaving that one behind because it was getting obsolete and I wasn't using it that much. And so I just kind of gutterballed to the iPhone. But my question for myself is, when the X happens, or when I get one, will I then simultaneously revisit Android and any other platforms that may be out there? And I might try it. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to get to some calls. So
we got a couple already.
You guys should call in and get in the queue here.
Yeah.
And we'll try to talk to everybody that wants to talk to us. Please don't be afraid. If you want to talk to us, just do it. I won't bite you. I can't.
It is.
Even if I wanted to.
It is not possible.
Even if I wanted to, it wouldn't happen. But we do have a couple of folks on the lines, and we're going to get to them in a second. One more thing before we do. Let's just to cover more nerd stuff. Did you see Thor?
I did.
Wasn't it rad?
It was so good.
It was fun too.
It was so much fun.
Here's the thing that I loved about it, and I don't know how to say this without suggesting that I'm trying to take, any credit, because this was actually not my conceit. But when we were working on Borderlands at the beginning, we struggled to find our tone. Like in a video game, I tend to think of a video game in terms of story, style, and design. And story is like the premise. It's like who, what, why, where, and when. It's not the plot. That's in the weeds, but that's important. But I start with the premise, and then design is like the camera and the control. It's the genre. It's what input I give it and what feedback I get out. It's the skill tests and the gameplay. Style is the look and the feel, but it's also tone. You know. And we were struggling with tone. Like we had this great freaking game design that we knew was going to work, and the universe we were crafting we thought was compelling. Like we were really believing in it. We can feel it was going to be right as we were creating it, but style was just a problem, and you saw the struggle because most people noticed the graphic change, but there was also tonal conflicts. And like, for example, the currency originally in the code for Borderlands is called cash money. The currency in the actual source code is labeled cash money, and we thought we were going to call it cash. And that's a very kind of snarky kind of thing. In the end, we just called them dollars, and we localized it to each territory. But cash money was kind of the original, and that betrayed a tone that feels consistent with Borderlands.
Yeah.
But there was this other kind of pressure from different aspects of the team to kind of be super serious, and no, we're going to do like credits or some kind of like space currency, and like just play it a little straight, not have fun with it at all. But because let's not offend anybody, let's go high sci-fi, and what we ultimately figured out was the way I described the formula is you have your high level mainline plot and purpose and situation has to be dead effing serious, and the stakes have to be real, and it's like basically a drama or a suspense thriller level seriousness.
Yes.
But in the surface interactions and the character to character and everything else, you just have to goof off.
Yeah.
Like just do not take yourself seriously and let everybody be people and including people that have a good time, especially people that have a good time and are cool making jokes. And so you get the serious main line and this kind of almost slapstick surface line, and those two play in this odd juxtaposition that just works. And that was the kind of formula. And holy shit, if Thor did not dive right into that same kind of strategy.
Nailed it.
And I have no idea if any of the folks involved in creating that played our game or not. But I've noticed though that the Marvel movies in general have started to get more and more comfortable with that, with playing that. And they've kind of noticed that the most successful stuff does have a comedy kind of thread to the serious kind of thing. But they have not gone as far, and the previous Thor movies did not nearly go as far as these guys did. A lot of fun. So you enjoyed it?
It was so much fun, and it's because I've been a fan of the director's work, but I saw What We Do in the Shadows, which was one of his original films, and I'm also a fan of Flight of the Conchords.
Yes,
and it's and just that kind of humor is amazing, and then just to see that and then hear the accents and then just it just felt so right, and then even things like including like all of the like indigenous art that was scattered all around, and just all of those little nods, like it felt, I don't know, it just felt so cool.
He played the and I can never pronounce his name, but didn't he play the character that was in the prison?
Yes. Yeah. He played the rock guy, and
do
it was.
Do you know how to pronounce his name?
Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he was in Flight of the Conchords too, right? Wasn't he the agent?
No, that was Rhys Darby.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. What did he like? Did he play a role in Flight or?
No. Well, I'm sure he might have had a cameo at some point.
I could not. I don't remember much of Flight because the only thing I remember is I have a profound crush on Kristen Schaal. So she's just amazing, and yes, so it was celebrity crush.
It was so great, and then just that level of humor, and also just, I guess you just hire Jeff Goldblum, and then you just let him be Jeff Goldblum, just all over your movie, and it's just it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was such a great time.
A lot of fun. Yeah. So yeah, I hope they keep doing them. That was cool.
And, and give him more movies for sure, because even just the color palette and everything, it was just, I don't know, it was candy in all sorts of forms. Visually, the humor, it was fantastic. It was great.
Awesome. So what do you think? Should we try one of these?
Yes.
Excuse me. And please call in. The number should be on the screen.
Yep.
And let's talk to Jack.
Hello,
I'm gonna take Jack from Sacramento. Let's see if Jack's here. Hello, Jack from Sacramento. This is Randy.
Randy, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm great. How are you? You're on the air, by the way, so you know.
Hello.
Awesome. I will behave. I promise.
You can or not.
Even if you don't.
I don't think the does the FCC have any jurisdiction
No.
when we're in this world?
Evan is saying no.
So our tech here in the
They're
studio.
everywhere, so you can never be too careful.
Oh, they are. Are you a conspiracy theorist? The FCC is listening
I've
now.
worked in broadcasting for most of my life.
Oh,
Randy.
nice.
I know they're always listening.
Well, maybe you can teach us. I hope they're not. I hope they're not listening, but we'll see.
Oh, you guys are doing great. I actually just had kind of a fun question for you, Randy, and then one kind of serious.
Okay, which one do you want to do first?
Let's do the fun one first.
Okay, sure. So we're gonna do it just like Borderlands or Thor.
Yeah.
Fun plus serious.
Yeah, that's gonna be
on top of each other.
It's Borderlands related, of course.
Okay, that's cool. I like Borderlands. I love talking about Borderlands. Go ahead.
Who is your favorite Borderlands character, and why are they your favorite?
That is a cruel question.
That's mean.
Do you have children? Do you have children?
I do. And
how many children do you have?
I have 2.
Which of your 2? Tell me something about your children. Like a boy, girl, 2 boys, 2 girls.
So I've got one of each. My son is the oldest, and he is an absolute wise ass like myself.
Okay.
And my daughter is an absolute sweetheart and the kindest soul you'll ever meet. So
this sounds awesome. You sound like you have a great family. Let me ask you something really important. Which of your children do you love more?
I could never pick that, man. You know that.
Bam! You just answered your own question. This is amazing.
Yeah, but see, I mean, I love Borderlands. I mean, Borderlands is honestly a part of my family. All 4 of us have our own consoles. We all play Borderlands.
Oh, you're like our family.
LAN parties.
You're like
yeah,
my family.
We do LAN parties as a family.
Giddy up.
Randy, I collect literally everything I can get my hands on that's Borderlands related. I'm probably $18,000 deep in my collection.
Holy crap, dude. That's amazing.
Borderlands is life, my friend.
Can you I don't know if you're on Twitter. You got to take a picture of some of your collection.
Yes, please.
And tag me on Twitter. I want to see some of this stuff. Cuz some people that are crazy collectors, they have stuff I don't even have. And I love it. It's so great. You're going to dig some of the stuff we're doing. We've got I don't know if I can talk about this or not.
Probably not.
We did it. I'm gonna say it anyway. We did a deal with McFarlane, and we're working on. Whoa, do you got Voltron in the background? What's going on there? Like it sounds like Optimus Prime's trying to get on the line.
There's a train driving.
Oh, okay, yeah, okay, right on. Well, make sure they keep the Allspark safe. So,
Trying.
yeah. So I don't know if you heard that or not, but we did a deal with McFarlane. And there's just some cool stuff that's happening that I don't know if that ruins anything, but we'll see. Also,
I did pre-order the Handsome Jack figure. I did pre-order.
Okay, so some of that's public then.
Yeah, I think so.
So here's the thing.
Yes.
I've been so neck deep in the games that I haven't really been looking a lot. I know the deals we've done with some licensees, but I don't know where we are in some of the stages of things. But there's this, we've got this super awesome licensing director, Erica.
She's great.
And she has just been rocking it. Like there's so much cool stuff happening that I like as a collector myself of nerdy things. I'm pretty stoked. Now here's the other thing too. I'll let you in on. When we do these kinds of deals with these folks, like we don't really make any money off of it. Like it's we do them because we think these things should exist, and because we kind of want access to them ourselves. But we don't even get a whole lot of them. Like we might get a few samples for the studio, and they become like gold. So like most of us have to buy our own toys too from our own things.
Which means that we have to make real cool stuff.
We got to make cool stuff because we're gonna want to do it. So that's awesome that you dig it, man.
Yay.
So I can't tell you which character I like the most because it'd be like picking which child I love the most, and we just
it was
learned
a
how hard
loaded
that
question.
is.
I was trying to get you to bite on it.
You know what though? Crazy Earl. No, I can't.
Well,
That's cheating. That's cheating. He's actually my least favorite character. He's my least. I can say that definitively. Crazy Earl's my least favorite character. You know why? Because he's got a hack
Randy,
voice
I
actor.
completely agree with you.
He's got a hack voice actor that has no business doing VO.
No, I'm not going to go that far. I won't go that far, but I might have had the thought that if I didn't get to kill Crazy Earl in Borderlands 2, I would have been disappointed going in, but...
Okay.
But my serious question, Randy,
Okay.
I don't know if you can divulge it, but are you guys far enough into development on Borderlands 3 that you could give an estimate of what quarter of what year it might be coming out?
That's interesting. So there's a couple problems with the question. One is, we have acknowledged, of course, we're working on more Borderlands stuff, but we don't even know, we have a lot of cool stuff that we're working on, but we don't even know what we're going to call the thing yet. So it kind of makes me a little concerned because even the title kind of sets expectations, and we don't even know what scale it's going to be, what kind of thing it's going to be yet. We're early enough along where that hasn't formed enough. Where I'm nervous that fans have already imagined this game for us, and we haven't even figured it out yet. And so what's really important to us is that we know exactly what we're going to deliver, so that when we do promise more Borderlands stuff, we already know that we're going to be delivering on that promise. And I want to be very careful about anything that could even be construed as a promise until we've crossed that point. And we have not crossed that point yet. So, and I'm not trying to hold out or be a jerk. Like, I can't wait to talk about what we're doing. But you know, we all have such expectations for this stuff, and the worst thing I can do is set an expectation and then fail to live up to it. And so I would rather it's just like, we're just going to crash and burn, and like we're going to be useless forever. And then if you have that expectation, if and when we do get around to saying something like, oh my God, this is amazing compared to what I expected, which was dismal, horrible failure. So that's kind of the way I want to take it.
I appreciate it, man. Like I said, I know it's kind of a tough question to ask because of the business side of it. But,
thanks.
As far as Thor goes,
did you see it?
Whenever the Rock guy was talking, I did. I loved it, man. Yeah. I thought it was the funniest of the MCU movies by far.
Right?
By far the best Thor movie.
Dude, sure. I'm right there with you. So you're going to say something about the Rock guy?
Whenever he was talking, like I said, Borderlands is life for me. All I kept hearing was Gladstone Takoa, the scientist from the presequel. That voice, it was like almost identical. I just kept hearing Gladstone.
That's so amazing. Yeah, so I can't say it, right? Because everyone's going to think, but it felt like I felt some of our influence in the movie, but I can't. Who can know? You know, we are obviously stealing from everyone all the time. So all these guys have influenced us, and we you can see us borrowing heavily from some comic book influences, but also from everything from high sci-fi to low sci-fi to frickin' Mad Max, even like animated shorts like that Code Hunters short that blew us all away. We put a homage to it with the welcome sign in there, and just so many things that just influence us. It's totally cool. I love the idea that we may have influenced other folks, including filmmakers like the guys beyond the Marvel stuff. So yeah, thanks for the comment, and thanks for the call, man.
Anytime, Randy. Again, thank you for your time. When I get home, I'll send some pictures of the collection, and always long live Handsome Jack.
Cheers, man. Cheers. All right, take it easy, Jack. You know, it's funny.
Awesome.
You know what's funny about Handsome Jack? So there's a real live magician whose stage name is Handsome Jack.
I've seen him.
His real name is John Lovick. He's a friend of mine. You've seen him.
Yeah.
And when we were in some creative discussion, and the guys working on Borderlands 2 were thinking about the villain, and they knew all these character traits that they wanted to have with this villain that became Handsome Jack. And they were trying to juxtapose like vanity and cockiness and all these kinds of things, and someone threw out there like he would name himself the adjective, like he's handsome, and like somebody just said Handsome Jack, and I know Handsome Jack, the real one, so I'm like just like biting my knuckle, just trying not to and just I'm going to step out of this. I'm going to abdicate myself from this decision and this conversation. And they had no idea, like they had no idea that there was a real person. And it ended up just sticking. It just stuck. And so I just kind of let it go. And I thought, nothing's going to really come of this. And then it blew up. And so,
of course,
so we have a joke. The real Handsome Jack, John Lovick, whose character, by the way, is not too unlike Handsome Jack from the video game, but he came out and did one of our holiday parties.
I think I was at that one,
and it was funny because when the MC introduced him, ladies and gentlemen, Handsome Jack.
Yeah.
And the entire audience is Gearbox people who have no idea that there's a magician named Handsome Jack. And here this guy comes out, and he's just a guy. He's a magician. He starts doing some magic tricks.
This is like a dude in a suit.
And it's a dude in a suit. And the audience is just stunned silence. They're like waiting for the joke. They're waiting for the punchline.
Oh,
and
that was
and
awkward.
Lovick, the real John Lovick, the guy who plays this character, he thinks he's up there just dying, just bombing.
Oh.
And like the magic's great. Like the guy fooled Penn and Teller on Penn and Teller Fool Us. The guy is amazing, right? You can watch it. He's fucking rad. And he in fact, he's this year's Academy of Magical Arts Parlor Magician of the Year. I don't know if you know that.
No.
So he's an incredible magician. But because our audience just didn't know what the fuck was going on, because he was introduced as Handsome Jack, and this guy's clearly not Handsome Jack, and it's just confusing. They were just all silent, and he thought he was dying and bombing, right? So we did a show, another show. I've got this, my wife and I have this theater called the Peacock Theater, and we host variety shows in it, and Lovett came out to perform it. And our MC for that night, a juggler and comedian by the name of Scott Neri, who's amazing. He had a patch, and he told a joke at the beginning. He said, "Now a lot of people know Randy from Gearbox, and they know his video game Borderlands, and that there's this very famous character in the video game named Handsome Jack. What people don't know is before the video game, there was a magician that was also named Handsome Jack." And there was some litigation, and as part of the settlement, Randy had to hire the magician who's going to perform for you right now.
Oh, that's
and
funny.
So with that setup, the audience knew and was with it, and he fucking killed. And
yeah,
I hope the FCC heard that.
Yeah, Evan, make sure you put some like reverb on that, just to really beef
but
that.
He killed.
Yeah,
it was amazing, and he's great. Should we take another caller?
Yes, please.
This might be a tech support call.
Really?
I'm gonna be woefully inadequate for this, but let's see what happens.
Sure.
Let's take it. This is evidence, by the way, that I am not turning down anybody. If you want to talk to me,
oh boy,
we'll get at you. Okay, so this is Willie, and let's see. This is Willie, right, from Massachusetts. You still with us? You've been waiting a while.
I'm here.
Hey, Willie.
Here.
This is Randy. We're talking live.
How you doing, Randy?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Outstanding. What's on your mind?
Say that again?
What is on your mind? What would you like to chat about?
Oh, I have a question.
Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Borderlands 2.
Yes.
Most of the time when I'm playing with my friends, I cannot see my friends online on the main menu.
Yes.
And it's an easier way to join them.
Yeah.
Or they can join me. They cannot see me. I cannot see them. We go to the network.
Yeah.
Everybody's online. We restart the game. Doesn't work.
If you're watching right now, I apologize for smiling. I absolutely sympathize with the situation. Nothing frustrates me more when I'm playing a video game that's supposed to work and some aspect of it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. The reason why I'm smiling is this is a tech support problem, and I am absolutely not the guy that can help you. But I know the people that can.
Yes.
The first question I want to ask, have you ever tried to contact Gearbox technical support or 2K technical support?
No, I haven't.
I strongly recommend that because those people are trained and equipped to deal with this exact issue. And they will ask you questions like what platform you're playing on, and they'll ask you questions about your network situation and your router, and they might give you the tip that will help you. It's usually that kind of problem to me sounds usually like some router configuration.
Yeah, or like
issue.
a NAT settings. Check your NAT settings.
Yeah, and you might not even know what that is, but the customer service people can walk you through it.
Yep.
And incidentally, Gearbox, I'm really proud of Gearbox customer service, but I actually, on an issue like this, I actually recommend using 2K customer service because those guys, they publish a lot of really big games that have like all of the customers of Borderlands and all of the customers of all the 2K games and Take-Two games, the combined intelligence from all the issues they've ever had to deal with can make it really easy, and probably they'll be better at helping you troubleshoot that issue than certainly better than I can, and probably better than and so you can go to the
you can visit
2k.com and there should be a support link on the website, and they'll tell you how to contact, and it's absolutely absolutely fine to use technical support and customer support.
Yes.
There's no harm, no shame in it, and we want you playing, and we want you playing with all the features active. So they'll do their best to help you out. And if you try, and for some reason it doesn't work out, you can let me know. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can call back.
Yeah.
And if it does work out, please let me know.
Yeah.
Those guys are pretty good, and they'll want to take care of you.
Yeah, and you can visit 2K support as well as support.gearboxsoftware.com.
That's right.
You put those in, and they'll be able to fix you up right good, so you can go ahead and get on Pandora.
Awesome.
All right.
Hey, is there
All
anything
right,
else?
I'll do that.
Is there anything else you'd like to talk about, Willie, while you're on the line?
No, I gotta bring my mom to the airport.
Oh,
and
fair
I'm
enough.
late. She's gonna
Oh
kill me.
man! Well, thank you so much for staying on
you.
the line. I really appreciate you. Customer service will probably not make you wait as long as I did.
Yep.
And we'll probably also be able to solve your
Yeah, and
problem.
we'll actually help you.
But it's really a
All
pleasure
right.
talking to you. Thanks for playing the game.
Thanks, Ellie.
All right, thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
Thank you, Elisa.
Yeah. Cheers. Bye bye.
All right, bye.
Well, that was fun.
Well,
I got
yeah, there you
to
go.
do really, really shitty technical support. Oh man, I feel so bad for that guy. He waited like a half hour, and I can't.
Oh, boo.
Oh man.
It's okay.
Hey, if we do have at least we got a couple of folks in the queue. But if you want to talk to me, get on here.
Yeah.
Call me about anything you want, and I'm happy to talk. If you've ever wanted to know something about the industry, know something about anything that we've done in the past, something we're doing in the future. I'm happy to dish.
Yeah.
It's fun. So please call in, and don't let it intimidate you if you're from some other place. There's probably some ways. Is there a way to use the internet to reach us?
Potentially via if you use like a Google Voice and get a sort of phone number that way using a Google Voice
Okay.
number.
Do you know, is there like, I wonder if there's any, well, maybe offline we'll
Yeah.
figure out if they make it easier for other people to reach us in different ways. Because
Totes.
I know there's a lot of people watching and listening, but not
Yeah.
everybody might be comfortable
Yeah.
just picking up their cell phone because they're calling
Yeah,
from.
and that's and folks are asking questions in the chat as well.
Yeah,
And,
and I don't know what the rate is to call this number from Madagascar, but I sympathize if that's why you're not calling. But we do want to talk to you. We're happy to talk to you. Let's take another call. You ready?
Sure.
All right. This is going to be Robin, and Robin is from New York. And I think we have Robin on the air. Robin, is this you?
Hey, Randy.
Hey, man, and you're or a woman. I actually haven't heard your voice yet. I'm just making an assumption based on the name, how your name is spelled. But you're from New York.
Yes, I am.
Right on. What part?
I'm actually from Long Island.
Cool.
Outstanding.
Just
Cool.
moved recently.
Great.
I-
Where did you move? You moved from Long Island to somewhere else?
Yeah, I moved from Brooklyn to Long Island, Central
Awesome.
Islip, specifically.
So I love New York City and the boroughs, and
it's a great place.
and I go there probably 4 times a year because I like seeing shows, and there's just so many cool things to do, and I got some friends up there and stuff. Let me tell you though, one of my guilty pleasures, and forgive me for taking up time, but I thought I can't wait to hear what you want to talk about, but I want to share this with you. I fucking love White Castle hamburger. And we don't have White Castle hamburger in Texas.
No, we don't.
And I know it's not like a New York thing, but there used to be a White Castle hamburgers on Manhattan, like on 33rd and something, 8th, I think. I don't remember, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And it closed down. I guess rent is getting so high on Manhattan, it closed down. So now my go-to White Castle, I think it's in Brooklyn, right? Isn't there one there in Brooklyn? Yeah, that's
I do remember a White Castle somewhere near my old clinic.
Yeah.
It was like right next to this McDonald's I used to love going to as a kid.
Yeah. That's probably the one, man. There's the one.
To be honest, I haven't had White Castle in years.
It's great.
For some weird reason, I keep hearing a lot about White Castle.
Because it's got like crack cocaine in it or something. It just makes me want to eat it. It's so good. And there's something else too. I don't know what it is, but I swear it's like, I think they've figured out how to synthetically create a sense of truffle oil. There's something musky in it.
I think
or it could
might
just be it's old and nasty, but you
that
get
also
this
works.
delicious taste as a consequence. I have no idea. It's freaking great. I love it. I don't care. I don't care what anybody says.
I don't know.
I will freaking get 10 packs and kill them like they're nothing. And that's my jam.
I wish I knew if there was a White Castle out here somewhere, but I'll definitely try to find one.
We should put there should be like a chain like that.
I'd love a White Castle
somewhere
here.
in the fictional universe of the Borderlands, right? Like where everybody just talks about this thing, and it's like, no, it's like a small version of that. It's really cheap and it's really good. You eat like 10 of them, it's fine.
That would be beautiful.
Yeah, it'd be funny. It can't actually be White Castle because there's no Earth in the Borderlands universe.
Right.
But, well, maybe there is. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. So, hey, what do you want to talk about, Robin?
Yeah. So, first off, I just want to mention this is like such a great thing to be like actually able to talk to Randy Pitchford.
I'm just a dude, man. It's great to talk to you, Robin. Thanks for calling.
Yeah. So, also before I actually get into my question, I want to say that on the stream I'm a bit behind and whatnot. So it would be cool if you were to do something at this moment that I could see on the stream happen in a couple of seconds.
Okay.
Maybe.
Yeah. What do you want me to do?
Ooh.
I'll do a peace sign. Here's a peace sign.
Whatever you feel is appropriate.
I'm doing a peace sign. And then I'm gonna do a thumbs up.
For you podcast listeners.
And now there's 2 thumbs up. And I'm gonna do the okay signal. And then I'm gonna do the Weinstein.
All right.
Oh
no!
Too soon.
Fuck that guy. Fuck that fucking creep. He can go right the fuck under the bus, man. Why are we defending that fucking ass? Fuck that guy.
For all of you podcast listeners, that was a vulgar gesture.
I apologize. I just lost my. Anyway, so I don't know if you're seeing any of that. What? How else can I help you today, Robin?
All right. So the one. I know that a lot of people, I guarantee, will be asking about when the next Borderlands game will come out.
Yeah, we get a couple of those. Yeah, we get a couple of those.
Yes, but I didn't want to just add on to this long list of people asking for its release date.
It's like a game, right? Curious. Fishing, seeing if someone can successfully fish me.
Right.
It's like I'm the worst catch. Like there's hooks everywhere. There's bait on them. And
I've been trying to ask, and that work here.
Just not biting.
Work.
But go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's fine. But yeah, so I remember during the production of Borderlands the pre-sequel, there were these videos being put out online on YouTube where it was like behind the scenes, and it was so well put together, and I loved watching them. And I would go back on each day ready to see if there's a new part to it.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to know if you guys would do that again for the making of Borderlands 3, because that would be extremely satisfying.
I think there's a couple thoughts there. Right. The first answer is I don't know. But those things the ideas behind those tend to come from marketing folks. And sometimes sometimes good content actually somehow manages to come out, even though the idea is I'm kidding. But that kind of thinking and planning in the Borderlands franchise hasn't happened for a while and isn't really ready to happen yet, but it could be. But I love the idea in general of just behind the scenes at Gearbox, and in fact, that's kind of why I started doing this podcast to be able to talk about things just indirectly. It's not about any specific game,
right?
But we can talk about, bring up things related to what it's like to work on stuff and make this stuff, and what's going on in that world. And it could be with some things that have been announced and things that are coming up. It might be fun for us to bring concept art and imagine if
I know a gal who works in new media that might be able to
bring
that vision
it might
to
be
life.
Fun to kind of use this a little bit for some behind the scenes stuff. But in addition, I think we should do some produced. I think it'd be fun to do that. I'll have to go back and look at those pre-sequel ones. It's been a while since I saw them. Do you remember? I don't know how strong your memory is of those, but
I will do my research.
Yeah,
for sure.
I like that. I like that that meant something to you. That's why we fight. Our entire purpose is to just try to entertain people, And the fundamental philosophy is that life is a fucking mess, and what makes it awesome is that we can have joy and happiness. And there are some things that we can do to kind of increase joy and happiness, like try to make awesome video games and play awesome video games. So we just want to try to help everyone have a good time, including ourselves. And so that's why we make things. That's why we make entertainment. And the process of making the entertainment can also be made into entertainment.
Yep, definitely.
And that's easy to forget when we're in the trench. Nobody cares about what we're doing. They just want the goods at the end, you know. But thank you for reminding us that that there's some folks that actually care about what we're doing and while we're doing it.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Maybe we'll do that.
That's just great.
What were the kinds of things that you liked the most out of those behind the scenes?
I'm taking notes.
Yeah.
My favorite thing, I can't quite pick off what I loved about it. The feel of it was great. It was like one of those documentaries that you would see where there'd be portions in which they're just fast forwarding through the day in front of the studio. They'd go inside, interview people. And I remember this one scene where someone said they were putting a little Easter egg behind a lava fall in the pre-sequel, which ended up being the Iwajiro fight.
Yeah.
Which I thought was incredible, to be honest.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Cool. Yeah, cool. You know what just occurred to me when you were talking about that? No one's ever done this before.
What would that be?
No one's ever done this before, but imagine if something was shot legitimately, like we're legitimately doing it, but it was being shot and edited by the kinds of people that know how to create sitcom content. And so it's almost like, it'd be like The Office or something. Except
oh my gosh.
Instead of it all being scripted, it's just us being jackasses making video games. And how we're dealing with each other and the collective stupidity of the people behind this stuff. I mean, that could be really fun and compelling content. And
we work in a really fun place.
And there's some but there's also some real stupid human things that happen because there's humans involved, and humans are a mess, and we make really weird decisions, and we sometimes. We love each other's work for the right reasons, sometimes for the wrong reasons. Sometimes we hate each other's stuff for the wrong reasons or the right reasons. And we're all just dealing with the fact that we all care so much about what's going on, and it's impossible to have disparate pieces come together as one thing. It's a trip. It's a total trip. So there might be something there. There might be something there to make a show.
Great idea for a show.
Yeah, so imagine people actually watching it not because they care at all what's being done, but they just want to see these characters trying to
it's just
deal
actually
with each
entertaining.
other. Yeah,
Oh no, I definitely tune in to see that.
Wow. Well,
this is a true story of 300 developers.
I'd have to find. So if anyone happens to be listening that's in the Dallas area that wants to do an experiment with some semi-reality television that's tries to appear to be more scripted, but is just going to be real time with a bunch of kooky game developers. I'd probably do something like that if it's not too distracting to the work.
The real world, Gearbox.
Oh man, there's probably some good content there. I don't know. Yeah? My wife warns me because I've been hit up several times for reality stuff.
Oh.
And every time she talks me off the ledge. She's like, dude, it never goes well for the subjects.
The editing.
There's no one who's ever been on a reality show that comes off looking great.
Yep. That's accurate.
And because they're designed to, get people interested in watching, and we are stupid humans that gravitate to chaos and confusion and horribleness.
Yeah.
So we want to watch people be horrible, and the only way to watch people be horrible if someone makes it look like someone's being horrible and puts it on the air.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, hey man, it was cool talking to you, Robin.
Yeah. Being caught at the wrong time.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You can if you look at anyone closely enough, you can make them look like Satan, or whatever the equivalent is. Whatever the equivalent is to your, particular brand of belief or non-belief. But you can also though make anyone look like a saint. But the reality is we're all just people.
That is very true.
We're all just people, and everyone's got the same struggle. We all just want to have life not suck for us. We all just want to be loved. and we all kind of want to figure out how to make it through this in a way that's compatible with our own happiness.
Yeah.
Right?
It's deep.
That's the mission.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the mission. So we're doing our best to contribute to that and make that easier. Hey, thanks for calling, Robin.
Great ideas.
Yeah, it was actually really
it was definitely a pleasure to speak to you.
sweet. It was nice I actually really enjoyed talking to you too. So thanks for calling, and enjoy Long
There you go.
Island.
Eat some White Castle for us.
Okay.
Do they have White Castle in Long Island?
I don't know.
Probably.
Get on the ferry.
I don't
Get
know.
some-
I'm
Every-
gonna have to search around for that.
Everywhere but Manhattan, I bet. All around now. Cool. All right. Hey, well, take it easy. Have a good rest of your weekend, Robin.
All right, you
All right.
too.
Yeah.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good stream.
Cool.
Yeah, that reminded me. I had a White Castle growing up in Puerto Rico, and then when I moved to Miami, I didn't have White Castle, but they had the little frozen burgers, and so I kind of made do with those. Because they were little perfect little tiny
Were they
cheeseburgers.
White Castle branded?
Yes,
but
yeah,
the
yeah,
frozen-
yeah, yeah, with
You
the
can
branding
get
and
those in
everything.
most grocery stores.
Yeah.
Now. And I like White Castle so much that through untold iteration, I've learned how to approximate and simulate the warming of those frozen White Castles to make it feel like they're fresh. And you can play with things like damp paper towels,
Yes!
wrapping them in damp paper
Yes!
towels, and then doing like the top bun separately from the rest of it, and like messing with the do it for 30 seconds at 50% heat, and then wrap the towel around the thing, and then add that to and I haven't done that in a while, but it was that important to me where you'd get obsessive about trying to simulate
Yes.
the freshness, even though you're dealing with a freeze dried kind of or frozen kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So here's another one that, since I don't know why we're derailed on White Castle, but and by the way, feel free to call if you want to talk about
White
anything.
Castle.
Well, if you want to talk anything, but if you
anything.
want to talk about White Castle, definitely call. But yeah, you can call and talk about anything, of course. And
Anything that you
I think there's a
absolutely
number
geek out on.
the stream. And if you're thinking like, oh, I kind of would like to call, but I'm too nervous or afraid, just freaking call.
Just call. We're people. We're cool.
But anyway, what I was going to tell you. So we were working on the Brothers in Arms franchise. I was directing the first game, and I was immersing myself in war and soldier stuff because I'm not a soldier. I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm not super macho. And I did this. I got invited to go to this field training. No. It was a combined arms live fire exercise at Fort Knox in Kentucky.
Wow.
And I had this lieutenant colonel that was, I was a civilian that had been given this special permission because I was going to use the experience to help influence the work that we were going to do on Brothers in Arms. And by the way, this thing, like that in and of itself, like that's probably worth another minute. We'll come back to what happened at the combined arms live fire exercise. Please. Holy shit, that was crazy. But this thing, Fort Knox is in Kentucky, and Kentucky has White Castle. Texas does not, but Kentucky does. So whenever I'm in a place, in a town, it's like it became a big deal. Okay, this is all great. I'm totally down for this CalFEX, combined arms live fire exercise. But listen, we got to find a White Castle. So I had them figure out how to bring me to a White Castle, and I was so concerned that I might not have another opportunity to get back to White Castle, and I was going to be there for a couple of days, that I bought two 20 packs. I bought 40 White Castles, and I ate like 10 on the spot, like immediately just like inhaled 10 White Castles. And I get plain, like I don't get cheese and I don't get any sauce. I want the meat and I want the onion and I want the pickle.
Oh, right.
And the bun. They put a single little pickle slice on there, so you get the meat and the onion, the diced onions, and the pickle and the bun, and that's it. I don't want ketchup on there. That takes away from the White Castle taste. And I don't need cheese because that takes away from the White Castle. I just want to taste the White Castle, but the onion enhances it, and the pickle pickle gives it a little bit of a nice little sour kind of thing that kind of helps. It helps enhance the flavor actually. Doesn't mask the flavor, enhance it. Anyway, so I wolfed 10 of them immediately, and then I have like these big old bags of all these White Castles, and I'm carrying them around during this whole freaking thing, and and White Castle's delicious, but it's got kind of a half-life to it. Do you know what half-life is scientifically?
Yeah.
Right. So for people watching that don't know what half-life is, I'll mansplain this to you. If you have a radioactive isotope, the half-life is how long it takes before the volume of the isotope decays to half of its mass, right? And there's the same amount of time. So like let's say you have something that's 10, like it weighs 10, whatever 10 kilograms or frickin' 10 moles. It doesn't matter whatever your thing is, and it decays. It takes, let's say, 5 years to decay to 5. It will then also take 5 years to decay to 2.5. So the half-life is consistent. It's just cut half. Okay.
Right.
So, and eventually there's nothing. And so it's kind of like a rapidly, it's a rapidly devolving situation. And the more time that goes by, the less of the substance you're going to have. The less, and so I equate that to the quality of the experience with a White Castle. White Castle has a half-life. So the quality of the experience eating the White Castle hamburger correlates to how little time has passed since when it came off of the cooker and into your mouth.
Yep.
And every second counts. Let me just tell you.
It's a matter of seconds.
It is. And I mean, it's not as bad as Taco Bell. Like Taco Bell, like the complete lifespan of a soft taco is like about 6.5 seconds.
Yes.
Like if you don't consume it, I'm joking. It's maybe like 6 minutes. But if you don't consume a Taco Bell taco within 6 minutes of it being produced, it's going to be absolutely disgusting. It's, around there. So it's not quite as bad as that. But there's something about the steamed cooked nature of a White Castle hamburger where it does have a half-life. And all of you listening, I hope you're engaged with this right now. You have no idea you're going to be educated. If you know White Castle, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're getting an education right now. So thank you for bearing with me. But it's on my mind. It has to come out. So there's a half-life to these White Castle hamburgers, and I can only eat 10 of them in the moment. So I've got 30 of these guys, and I'm just carrying through the whole day, and we do the whole thing, and then I go to the hotel room and I have them with me, and there's like one half of my brain, the rational half, is saying, this is well past the half-life. You have no device to warm these with. They have not been refrigerated. They've just been in the wild as you've been walking around in the Kentucky heat outdoors during this live fire exercise. This is not going to be a good experience for you. You should not eat these hamburgers. And then I've got the other side of my brain, the emotional side of my brain, which is I've got 30 White Castle hamburgers and I'm alone with them.
Oh no.
And I can do whatever I want with these White Castle hamburgers, and they will love it. They want me to do what I'm going to do. And so I just began eating, and I got through another 10 of them, and it wasn't too bad.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say
it wasn't too bad.
I immediately regretted my experience.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it was bad, but I wanted it so much. I did it. It was fun. And but that, of course, if we can do math, leaves 20, which took me the rest of the next day to get through. And in fact, half-life or no, I ate all 40 White Castle hamburgers. It took me about 2.5 days. I wasn't able to eat all 20 of them the next day. I had about 6 left over the following morning when I had to get up to go to the airport, and I just ate them, and I did not care, and I did not get sick, which has no. It is not evidence towards how little bacteria may have grown in that time, and might have more evidence to suggest that I constantly abuse my gullet, and I must have developed the ability to digest.
Probably like self-vaccinated with every progressive burger.
I can digest horrible amounts of I mean, my wife will tell you I eat things in the refrigerator that should have been thrown away weeks ago, and I don't care. I will eat leftovers that are old, and I'm fine. I'm going to do it. I don't want anything to go to waste.
You have a sturdy constitution.
I don't want it to go to waste, and it's just got to be done. So, yeah, I just blew like 10 minutes talking about White Castle. But let me tell you about this Calfex, because it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So we were there working on the Brothers in Arms game, and you have to remember that before Brothers in Arms, I had never fired a real firearm in my life. I'm not sure I'd seen real guns, but I'd never shot one. I'd never fired one. And I certainly knew nothing about soldiering. And this is interesting because my father was in the military. My grandfather was in the military. My great-grandfather was in the military. My grandfather would take great pride to explain, and he would drive me out in the middle of West Virginia in the mountains, and he showed, like, multiple occasions. And he'd show me, this is the grave of your and he fought in the Revolutionary War. So I am breaking the line of a proud line of American soldiers, and I would not be of use to our country in that way. And I say this, I think this is Veterans Day weekend, right? And for anyone that might be watching that's a veteran, thank you for your service.
Yes.
Sincerely. I love the fact that we have a free world. And that we do have to defend it. I hate that we have to defend it, but I love the fact that we have a free world and that we've earned it through the folks that are willing to risk everything in order to preserve our democracy. And in fact, if it wasn't folks like yourselves, veterans who might be listening to this, in the greatest generation, the generation that is the subject of the Brothers in Arms video games in World War II, we might all be speaking German. So I'm very grateful. And I think German's a great language, but especially when it's not run by Nazis. Let's be clear. I have nothing against Germany, but I do have a thing against Nazis. So yeah, I hope we're all in agreement.
Yeah, seriously.
But so we made a game about killing Nazis, which is awesome, and I had to learn about soldiering. So I met this guy, Colonel John Antal, who is a soldier who was active duty, and he was the dean. I mean, they don't call him the dean, but he ran the armor school up in Fort Knox, where they taught all the soldiers how to drive these M1A2 Abrams main battle tanks and Bradleys and all kinds of cool armored vehicles, and they had cool simulation technology that was really amazing, and he wanted me to see firsthand the destructive capability of weapons of war. So we went up there, and there were tanks blowing shit up. There were helicopters blowing shit up. There were artillery pieces blowing shit up. The coolest thing I saw was an infantry unit. There was infantry around a Humvee, and they pulled up to this wooded area. And when we had, I can't remember if there was someone announcing or we had like a program, but we knew what was coming next. And there was this thing that they call a Miklik. And what this guy does, it's basically a fire hose filled with C4 explosives. It's a long ass soft tube that they could launch, and it just falls, and the entire string of it they can detonate, which means that anything nearby is just gone. So let's say you're in the forest, but you need to drive like a tank division through the forest, but there's a forest in the way. Well, so you just fire a Miklik in there, press the button, and suddenly there's a road because in the line there's nothing else exists very quickly, like in an instant it's all gone. Or let's say there's a minefield in the desert and you don't know where the mines are and you don't have time to try to figure it out, so and that lays on the sand, boom, gone, everything. And so they fire this Miklik, and there's this big fire hose laying just, and it's probably a mile away from us where we're watching this, probably more. Like I'm in this bleachers observation area on this base, looking at this training field. I mean, it was enough ground where we could see artillery here and tanks here, like all these vehicles. It's combined arms, right, and infantry and all of it. And so this Miklik's laying down, and we hear fire in the hole, and then nothing happens. and then a couple seconds go by, fire in a hole, and then nothing. And we see this guy frantically like working, I guess he's working some detonator, some flanger, and it just doesn't work. And Colonel Antal, who's with us, says, "Watch, they're not going to stand for this. He's going to light that thing up with his 50 caliber. He's got phosphorus shells in that 50 cal. He's going to start shooting that mic like until he detonates it." Sure enough, the 50 caliber machine gun on the top of that Humvee just starts going, and this guy's firing machine gun bullets at it, like far enough away, because when this thing blows, like, so he's hundreds of yards away from where he's shooting. And he's just littering bullets in that area. And every fifth round is a tracer. It's got a little phosphorus thing on it. So if one of those hits this fire hose correctly and just ignites, it's all going to go up. And so we hear like, dunk, 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 like a machine gun. And then the explosion happened. And I swear I felt like this... It was the closest I will ever come to witnessing a live nuclear blast, is what it felt like. Because first, it was far enough away. First, you see the flash. And then this absurd amount of dirt and stuff and debris is just forced away, and you can see I can see the air moving. And not only can you see the air moving, but the air doesn't stop moving. Like, everything is being forced away, and it's a blast wave. It's like out of a movie, and it's coming at us, and it's like, that's gonna hit us. So we see the flash, we see the effect, the immediate effect, and this wave is coming for us. And then a moment later, the sound hits us, right? Because the speed of sound is a little bit faster, or a little bit slower than the speed of light, but faster than the actual force of all this physical movement of all this matter. So the sound hits us, and it is the loudest thing I've ever heard in my life. And you know, I've been to a Metallica concert. Yeah. You know, and I had earplugs in and headphones, and this was the loudest sound I'd ever heard in my life. And to this day, I think it contributed to, like, I sometimes have a hard time hearing people. So, but that wasn't the worst part. So the sound hits us, and we're like, and just, you feel it, right? And just, like, your body just makes a noise as if you don't even know what's going on. And then this wave hits us. And it felt like someone just punched me in the face, but not like a punch in the face would have been better, because it would have been limited to the part where the fist touches my face. It's like every single surface of my body was getting hit by this concussion simultaneously. It was the freaking craziest feeling I've ever had. It was insane. And I was like a mile away. And this dude that detonated it was like a few hundred yards away, like that poor guy, you know. But he's a soldier. He's a badass. I'm not a badass. But that was the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. That has to do with destruction. And I, like, you know, as a kid, I used to like mess with fireworks and 4th of July, and you know, I was a little pyro like everybody else. That thing, holy crap! Like, now I don't want to mess with anything. No, like that. You just saw how much violence and horror was created in this one moment. Also, I was like, man, I'm glad those guys are on my team. Yes, it was sick. It was pretty rad. I think I may have just like wasted all this time talking about that stuff. Was that worth the while?
No, but
was that an interesting story for you?
It's cool because, you know, a lot of folks don't necessarily know, you know, like, they just think like, oh, maybe you just read some books about World War II to make a game or something. Yeah. It's like, no, you're actually feeling the feelings and actually seeing things in action. And I think that definitely contributes to...
Oh, no doubt. Yeah. We definitely immerse ourselves. You know, like, one of the things that was surprising when I fired a weapon for the first time, we went down to Fort Hood, Texas, and used the military firing range there. And I fired all of the World War II pistols and rifles and machine guns. And what never occurred to me, because all of my gun experience was from video games up to that point. And what never occurred to me was, field of view is a real thing. When you are looking down the sight of, for example, an M1 Garand rifle, and there's this little circle that you look through that's close to your eye, and you have to line up the center of the circle with this peg that's there, but you have to focus on your target, which is downrange, and you have to line all that up. When you do the field of view, and you can do it right now, hold your finger in a circle, look at your finger in the middle of it, and then focus on something far in the distance. Whoa. And while you're focusing on something far in the distance, notice how freaking blurry your close fingers are. Yes. Notice how blurry that is. I never thought about it like that, but I noticed that blurriness, and I thought, we need to simulate that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it was before technology, through real-time rendering technology, had capability to render field of vision. Sorry, I said field of view. I meant
Depth of field.
I meant depth of field and the blur from depth of field. So before we could do that in the hardware, or the software, so we faked it. We made blurry art that we would swap into when you'd look down the sites. And at the time, like almost every one of the reviewers and critics noticed that as an innovation and an evolution in all first-person shooters. And from that moment forward, almost every first-person shooter copied that technique. Then it went back again. Like it added realism, but then a lot of people are happy to abandon realism in favor of just crispness of the image, or other trade-offs with gameplay. And we have too in a lot. Like for example, in the Borderlands games, we like to see the sites.
Yeah.
So we don't always leave them blurry when we're doing that, but in Brothers in Arms, that was important to me to kind of give that authentic kind of feel, and it never would have occurred to me without that real world experience. So that's an example of how that goes. But sometimes the real world affects what we do, and sometimes we can affect the real world.
Yes.
Like, for example, did you notice the shirt I was wearing?
I mean, you always have a tendency to have fabulous shirts. So this is no different, but is there something particularly special about this shirt?
This shirt is a Robert Graham shirt. Robert Graham is a design company out of New York. It's actually, I think it's two people. I think there's a Robert and I think there's a Graham, and I think they work together. But I'm not sure. But I have a lot of Robert Graham stuff. And they're out of New York. They do great work, and my wife buys me my clothes. Before Christy started dressing me, most of my wardrobe consisted of shorts and a T-shirt that I got at a video game convention.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's pretty much it. And I'm totally fine with that. But really, it's not because that's what I like to wear. That's what was in my drawers and in my closet.
Yeah. So
what Christy discovered was that, I don't care. I will just wear whatever's in my closet. So she just started replacing everything in my closet, and that's how she influences what I dress. So real cool things just appear in my closet. And that's neat. I'll put it on.
So that worked, huh?
Yeah. So it turns out, and I don't know if they still do it, but these guys, Robert Graham, if you buy enough shirts, and I don't think they still do this program. Maybe they do, but if you buy enough shirts, they will make you a shirt. They'll work with you and do this. And I didn't know this was happening, and Christy's like, oh, check this out. This is a thing, and now it's a thing. So you got there, and so you're going to do this. And I'm like, cool. So what they do is they show some different ideas for designs and different kind of different things that it could be, and you interact with them and you make some choices, and then you name it. And it becomes an actual official Robert Graham shirt.
Oh, that's cool.
So this guy, I love embroider stuff.
Yeah.
This is all embroidered here, and you'll notice this on the bottom. It looks like kind of a planetscape with two like a sun and a moon in the distance, right? So this shirt is an official, actual Robert Graham shirt. This shirt is called Borderlands.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I named it. And there is another shirt that's identical, but it's cut for like what they call women's cut, where the buttons are opposite,
right? And
there's a little bit different in the way that it's trimmed out. And I named that one Siren.
Oh. And
this is legit, and it's hard. You can't get them anymore. I think they're sold out. But it's a limited edition, and they made. Let's see. What does it say here?
He's checking the tag.
It looks like they made 1,200 of these.
Wow.
And as far as I know, they're all sold out. And they sent me a few, and then they sent me a special one where in the embroidering where the Robert Graham label is, it says exclusively made for Randy Pitchford.
Ooh.
Embroidered into and I'm like, so I put it in this little frame box, and it's hanging in my closet, and then I wear the other ones from time to time. But this is a Borderlands shirt. So
That's
this is
so cool.
This is what could happen if you are a nut job and you get you have a wife that will just spend all their money on clothes for you.
Someone asks about a potential shirt DLCs in the chat.
Right? I don't know, but yeah. So she's like my sugar mama. She spoils me, and she made all this happen, and I'm really grateful for her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool. And once, one of the greatest experiences I had was I was walking through the airport, and there's shops in the airport, and sometimes they're trying to be like a designer shop.
Yeah.
To me, I don't understand why there's any shop other than the place where we buy water and chewing gum and maybe a newspaper, just the normal sundries place. That to me is the kind of place. But like some airports have become freaking malls.
Yeah.
Like who goes shopping in the airport for like actual stuff? In the San Francisco airport, you can buy a glass chandelier. Like what the?
Why?
Who's buying a glass chandelier?
You have to check that.
Yeah.
Like what? No.
I don't know how that works. So, but anyway, one of those kinds of places had mannequins with apparel. And one of them was wearing my shirt. And I was like, oh my God, it's the Borderlands shirt. So I took pictures and I was really proud.
That's cool.
I had a real deal there.
And people are asking about the possibility of your shirts being in 4K.
But I feel like I've just been talking nonstop and telling stories and playing this out. And I think I feel like I've overstayed. I feel like I've overstayed our welcome. What do you think? Do you think we should wrap it up, or do you have a story you'd like to tell?
Oh gosh, I mean, I've plenty. I just my mind has been drawing a complete and total blank.
That's okay.
Yet, but
well, see, my mind's constantly filled with crap.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I will fill, but you have to cut me off. So I might be self-cutting off. Hey, one of the cool things we do here, if you happen to be in the area and you want to come by and say hi after the show, we're gonna have dinner at Nerdvana. And I noticed they did an event last week with Fortnite.
I
and
heard.
They installed Fortnite on pretty much all the Xbox and PlayStations in the restaurant and bar. So I might play some Fortnite, or I might just get me some more courage.
Some more courage cheesecake.
Courage cheesecake. And we got to try something new.
Yes.
This time, so we can talk about it next time. We'll see what we try. And and we're gonna do that. So we'll be down at Nerdvana. If you do happen to come by, don't be shy. You can come and say hi. I'll shake your hand. And if you want to join us for dinner, that's fine. But if not, that's cool. We're gonna have fun with ourselves. And anything you'd like to add?
Yes. So one thing that I would definitely like to do is to thank everybody that's watching. All of you podcast folks in podcast land that are listening to this recording. You can get the podcast, if that is your preferred method of listening to the show, on Podbean, and it will also be available on iTunes. So if that is your preferred method of listening to podcasts, you can go ahead and grab that there. If you missed any of the show, the VODs will be available on both Twitch and YouTube. And for those international folks in the chat, we are going to look into a way for you to call in and have it not be incredibly prohibitively expensive for you. Because I know that folks from all over the world have questions and want to be able to ask you stuff. So we want to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to call in and share your thoughts. So this is still young. Still a baby podcast, still testing out a few things, but we want to make it as easy as possible for you to chat with us and basically just nerd out with us on a weekly basis.
Yeah. And if you have any thoughts about how you can make this thing better, how we can make this thing better, you can hit me up on Twitter. I'm at Duval Magic. You can hit Elisa up. What's your
at Elisa Rock
Doc? Yeah. And I think, do we have our Twitters on the actual?
Yes, we do.
So you
right
can
there.
You can actually just read if you're watching this, if you can read. This is a lot of fun, but we'll figure it out. We want to figure out and make this. The goal is to make it entertaining for people that are watching. So if you're watching and you have some thoughts about what you'd like to see or what you'd like to hear us talk about, we'll do that for you.
Yeah, up to and including live tastings of cheesecake. We will gladly do that for you if that is what you want.
One of the things we'll also do is we'll probably at some point cycle out some hosts and co-hosts. Mm-hmm. We'll get some different guests on the show. And we'll I've got some interesting friends. Elisa, I think, has some interesting friends.
I'm sure.
And and there's a lot of cool people at the studio that I think would love to get on here and talk about their experiences. So you can, if you want to talk to an actual artist making video game content, or a programmer or a designer, and learn what it is they're thinking about when they're doing specific things in the games we've already made, or what kinds of stuff they're thinking about in the games we're making in the future. I think that could be really interesting. But there's also other people that are interesting. I have some friends that are kind of interesting, that some of them might be willing to get on the show with us and talk to you guys. But if you have any ideas, please ship them my way, ship them Elisa's way, and tell us, and we'll try to make this as entertaining as possible. But until next time, and please tune in next week. We stream at 4:30 on Sundays.
Yep.
And also this next week, I am going to Florida to the IAPA conference. This is a trade show which is all about location-based entertainment stuff. It's basically where everybody shows off new coin ops and arcade machines and pinball machines and all that kind of stuff, where buyers and sellers and creators get together in that whole world. And so I'm going to be there I'm just going for a day to check it out. We've got some business we might be doing in that realm, and I might learn some cool stuff, and I'd love to come back and talk all about that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play some coin-op video
That'd be
games and pinball and some other
fantastic.
stuff, and see what's going on.
I'm
there.
a huge pinball nerd, so
too.
I want all. I'm gonna sneak into your suitcase.
The next time maybe we can we'll talk about our pinball machines that we have here at Gearbox. We can talk about pinball too. That's fun. That's one of my fun hobbies too, and a lot of people like that here at Gearbox. Anyway, there's so much stuff to talk about.
Yes.
If you have any thoughts you want to talk about, please hit us up. If you're here in the area, you want to meet us at Nerdvana, come by. We're going to have dinner right now, and I want to thank everybody for listening and watching.
Thanks for nerding out with us. We'll see you next week.
Cheers.